Bold, chaotic, beautiful, and so extra. I'm, of course, talking about India's wedding industry. When we think of weddings, we think of love, celebration, and looking great for those Instagram selfies. But here's what nobody thinks about: the cost. No, not the money cost, but the climate cost. I'm Lavanya, and in this episode of The Climate Brief, we break down the climate cost of a big fat Indian wedding and ask, is it worth it? So what do we mean by a climate budget? Here's the full breakdown. Starting with the biggest culprit, food. You cannot talk about an Indian wedding without talking about the food. Whether a wedding was memorable or not comes down to one thing. But how is the food? Guests will remember and talk about the kulfi that blew their mind for the next 5 years. So it's no surprise that the buffet at an Indian wedding feels like a carnival. North Indian, South Indian, Chinese, Italian, a live chart counter, varieties of desserts, you name it, and it is there. But while this is a source of joy and excitement, unfortunately, it also means a lot of food wasted. Reports show that 10 to 20% of all food served at Indian weddings goes to waste, which is 200 to 300 kgs of food per wedding. A study in Bengaluru found 943 tons of edible food wasted annually across 85,000 weddings. Enough for 26 million meals. But instead, all this ends up in already overcrowded landfills, releasing methane. When food goes to waste, so does everything that went into making it. The water, ingredients, labor, fuel, etc. And the more extravagant the menu, the more materials sourced from farther away, adding to the transport footprint. But waste doesn't stop at food. The next culprit, single-use plastic. Think of it. Plastic water bottles, disposable spoons, plates, cups, tissues, all used for a few hours and thrown away. And then we have decor. If you think natural flowers are automatically eco-friendly, you're wrong. Fancy flower arrangements are grown, transported, stored, and watered so they bloom perfectly on the big day, just like you saw in Band Baja Barat. So even natural flowers contribute to your climate wedding budget when they are flown in from across the country. Add to that the garlands, thermocol cutouts, elaborate Sangeet stage setups, disco lighting, and sound systems running deep into the night, ice sculptures and water fountains, and whatever else you have seen. A 500 guest celebration produces over 150 kgs of floral waste, 200 kgs of food waste, and hundreds of single-use plastic items, all within 48 hours. Let's not forget the outfit. The bride and groom change at least 7 to 8 times across all the functions, and a single bridal lehenga can cost anywhere from 50,000 rupees to several lakhs, designed and worn only for one day, and then just lives in the cupboard forever. And it's not just about cost. Think about all the materials and resources that go into making that one outfit, only to never be worn again. It starts to make sense why India generates 7,800 kilotons of fashion waste every year, most of which ends up in landfills. And wedding clothes are also a part of that story. Lastly, we come to the travel. Indian weddings have one of the largest guest lists, averaging around 326 attendees per wedding. So that many guests traveling to get there via flights or trains, a single long-haul flight emits about 1 to 2 tons of carbon dioxide per passenger. So if just 100 of your guests are flying in from other cities or countries, that is already up to 200 tons of emissions. But wait, not every Indian wedding is like this. The climate impact is directly linked to its scale. The bigger the wedding, the higher the climate impact. For example, take the infamous Ambani wedding in 2023. That wedding produced 10,902 tons of carbon dioxide, which is the yearly emissions of 5,400 people. And it generated over 25 tons of food waste, using 600,000 liters of water. Now, while most of us aren't Ambanis, the culture of excess is still the norm. India hosts 10 million weddings every single year. The industry, yes, weddings are called an industry in India, and rightly so, is worth 10.7 lakh crore, making it India's fourth largest economic sector, bigger than aviation even. An average 3-day wedding alone produces 700 to 800 kgs of wet waste and 1,500 kgs of dry waste. And the 10 million weddings held collectively generate approximately $14 billion worth of food waste. Now, the problem isn't the weddings. It's the excess that has become the norm. So how do we solve this? Yes, sustainability may seem like a new buzzword, something that we are all learning about now. But what if I told you the secret to make weddings truly sustainable? We need to look back and not ahead. The OG Indian weddings were actually quite sustainable. Think about your grandparents' wedding. Most got married in their homes or neighborhood community halls. Guests came together via train or bus. Food was served on banana leaves and were prepared from local produce. Sustainability is not a new concept. It's just remembering what we have always done. And slowly, we are starting to realize this. There has been a clear upward trend of urban Indian couples actively choosing greener weddings. What does this look like? To tackle food waste, couples are now opting for limited menus, where caterers plan quantities and extra food gets donated to NGOs and those who need it. Replacing single-use plastic products by using banana leaves for meals and reusable tableware like steel tumblers or plates and cutlery. Weddings also set up water stations instead of using plastic bottles. Decor is becoming biodegradable. This looks like jasmine and marigold from a local mandi instead of imported flowers. And reclaimed wood mandap structures instead of thermocol, with e-invites sent via WhatsApp or email instead of printing elaborate invitation cards. Outfits have a simple solution: renting or going the heirloom route and asking your mother or grandmother for their old Kanjivaram saris. And if you're a guest, rewear something you already own, just like Alia Bhatt. Lastly, venue. Opt for venues that are outdoor, solar powered, or have composting systems built in so that your footprint is lower. But, I need to break a myth. People assume a sustainable wedding has to be 1, expensive, and 2, boring, taking the grandeur and fun away. But in fact, it's quite the opposite. There are now several eco-friendly wedding event planners and climate companies that are making this decision that much easier. These organizations come up with innovative ideas to minimize your wedding's carbon footprint, from using seed paper invitations to helping couples neutralize their wedding's carbon footprint entirely through verified carbon offsets, with guests given credits and QR codes to choose which climate project their offset goes towards. If there's a wedding coming up in your family, ask, how can we reduce the climate cost? Comment below your sustainable wedding stories and subscribe to the Climate Brief for more such stories.